Hey, what's up, you guys? Jeff Cohn here with another episode of the Team Building Podcast, where we interview top team leaders, broker owners, and thought leaders across the nation. Super excited today to have a massive guest in Dustin Brohm from Massive Agent Podcast and EXP. Dustin, welcome to the podcast today, sir.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it, man. Excited to be on the show.
Absolutely. We were talking before we started recording about how we could bring massive value to our listeners today. And Dustin has an awesome story. So let's just get right into it. Go ahead, Dustin.
Yeah. So I've been an agent for just over 9 years in Salt Lake City. When I first got into the business, had no clue about any of it. None of it. So I was a blank slate. I had a mentor who took that blank slate and taught me that I need to cold call, door knock, send letters and flyers and stuff like that. And I literally thought that that's how it was done, that any real estate agent who's ever sold a home, that's how they did the business. And of course it takes, experience and being in there for a while to realize, wow, I guess there are other ways. I struggled so freaking much because I hated cold calling. I hated reading a script with a headset on. I hated, wearing a name tag in the produce section and like trying to chat up someone about, the real estate market, because that's what I was taught. And I didn't know that there was another way until out of necessity, because I was basically starving to death. So I Google, how to get real estate leads.
Like literally starving?
I mean, I was eating, but
But things are tight.
But not exactly gourmet food. Yeah.
Right.
These are
Taco Bell
stress.
runs. This is the 2 a.m. Taco Bell.
Yeah. My wife was not happy. And neither was I. So I just Google how to get real estate leads, and it opened up my eyes to this whole concept of content marketing and attraction marketing, that by doing a video, writing an article, doing a podcast, putting something out there that people find, you can actually attract business to you. And that was so polar opposite from what I was taught and what I thought was the only way. And so I was like, well, wait a minute. Like, if I can verify this, if this really does work, if people are actually doing this, this is me. That it fits with me. Like, I can do that. And so to condense time a little bit, I launched a website. I borrowed money to launch a website, and I started writing articles. And I'm not a writer. I don't care to be a Pulitzer Prize winner or any of that crap. I'm not pretentious in my writing. I write the way I speak. And I found that people actually like that. People actually liked it to read informal, lighthearted stuff. And so I just started focusing on what's cool in Salt Lake. Like, what new businesses are coming, what new attractions, like Topgolf was coming to town. I didn't know what it was at the time. So I looked at it and I was like, this is cool. People would like to know about this. And I just started doing videos and articles about Salt Lake and the best coffee shops, the best sushi restaurants, the best sledding hills in the winter, things to take your kids to do on the weekend, all of that. And I really focused on just the community, and it started working. I mixed in some real estate content, and this was about 4 or 5 years ago or so when I was really starting this. So I put in some real estate content for the website so Google could find it, and my content was bringing people to my real estate website where they would, on their own, start wandering around. They'd start searching for homes. They'd start reading my seller's guide and stuff like that. And I got a call about 3 or 4 months after I started this process where I had a buyer that was like, hey, we need to buy a place. We want to buy our first home, and you're our guy. And I'm like, I don't need to interview. Like, I didn't actually say this, but right. I'm thinking like, you've already made up your mind. We haven't even spoken. Right. And I asked them how they found me, and they're like, we saw your YouTube video, which was just a snap from Snapchat that I downloaded. I was ranting about why Zestimates suck so bad and uploaded it to YouTube. They found that, went to my website, they got a feel for my personality and called me to hire me. So I got validation pretty quick. And ever since then, I've just been figuring out how to make better content and how to get more people to see it. Yep. I dove into Facebook ads. I dove into everything. And I realized that I just love the marketing. And so now I consider myself a marketer who sells homes, and it's changed everything. 80% of my business comes from my online efforts somehow, some way. The other 20% from referral or my sphere. And it's just been absolutely incredible. And now I just share with other agents through my podcast and speaking at conferences and whatnot, how I've done it.
Yep. Well, and that's one of the biggest things I think is once you can figure out how to create the leads from a myriad of options. Obviously, you're choosing to go to the YouTube and hyper local info strategy. There's agents out there that pour money into Zillow. You've got your Google ads, Facebook ads, your paid ad strategy. You've got all the cold strategies of door knocking and calling and open houses. And then you've got SEO, the search engine optimization game with content you build on the back end of the website. And you can do all of it. You can do a piece of it. What matters is that you're doing something consistently over long periods of time. So we had talked before we got on air, we had talked about all these different things that you guys are having a ton of success with and how you chose to pivot right out of the gate from being the agent, the person that these people are reaching out to actually service these deals, to primarily start to build a team under you. But you did it in a non-traditional way, and that's what I was really excited for us to talk about with our guests today. So why don't you share with everyone, I guess, what that strategy looked like?
So as I started getting people reaching out to me saying, hey, we want to buy, we want to sell, naturally, because of everything I was seeing, I'm thinking, I need to start a team. I need a listing specialist. I need buyer's agents. I need, all of that. So I start looking at the Keller Williams traditional team model.
MREA, baby.
Exactly. Yep. The red book.
Yep.
And so I'm like, that's it. And it wasn't until I discovered my brokerage, I'm with EXP, that I saw I could actually build a team, because the goal for me is revenue. It's really, for me, it's revenue.
Would you say you're running a business, Dustin?
100%. I'm running a business.
This isn't for fun. You're not in club real estate. Coffee's for closers.
Exactly. So I got away with this caring about how many units I've sold and if my name is on the buy or the sell on the MLS, so I get credit for it. I don't care. I want to make money. I want to run a business, and I want to scale the shit out of it. So I saw that EXP offered a way to build a team without managing people. And I could build a team anywhere that the brokerage is open. And so
let me pause it there quick. So we talked before getting on air too about this mindset of building a downline. And in multi-level marketing companies, they allow people to come in. What's some of the oldest ones out there? I don't even know. There we go. Let's throw out Amway. The opportunity with Amway is every person you bring into Amway, every time they bring a person in and or every time they sell product, you're making a cut. In traditional brokerage land, one of the things that are broken, and I think Gary Keller was one of the first to the party to come up with this idea of profit sharing. The thing that's broken is when I train up an amazing agent, my own traditional broker steals the agent from me, makes revenue off of them, and I get nothing. And I put all the time and energy and resources into training them. And this is not a hypothetical. We lost over 19 agents in 5 years to the traditional broker who we were working with before. And that broker would create opportunities for those agents that were better than opportunities I was allowed to offer per company policy. Conflict of interest much? Well, what's amazing about EXP and Keller Williams, and let's throw Exit Realty in there because they get some credit too. They have created a way where Dustin and Jeff and anyone inside their organizations can bring people in, and forever we get paid a rev share. So that in and of itself is amazing if you're not wanting to manage people to your very point that you're making now.
Yeah, it's a retention thing. And look, if you are a team leader, your job is to make your team members great. But if you don't have a system where you can continue getting paid from them, even if they're not on your team, even if you want them to be great, but not so great that they might leave, that's not good.
Which is a scarcity mindset, right? But
yeah,
you're motivated to have a scarcity mindset because you're fearful that they're going to leave because the next person down the road is going to offer a better split, more leads, a cooler office. And agents are the worst.
Yes.
Where's the loyalty? They jump around all the time.
Oh, geez. Yeah, it's crazy. And so I'm like, wait a minute. So if I can just attract someone to work with me, to come to the brokerage, if they decide that they don't want to be part of my team or whatever, or they just want to do their own thing, which that's my mindset. I just want to do my own thing. If I train them and support them and they become great, which I want them to be, if they then go out on their own, as long as they're still with the brokerage, I don't care. I'm still benefiting from that, and
they're benefiting from being in your world, on or off your team, because you brought them in, and now you're more incentivized to help them be the best version of themselves if they are or are not inside of your team, but they're in your downline. I know and I want to share this with our audience listeners because a lot of people don't know about this, but a lot of coaching companies in the residential space are segueing, and I speak to it because I own a coaching company, but a lot of them are transitioning from the model where you're making $3,000 a month in coaching to where you almost give it away for free as long as those individuals with whom you are doing the coaching for are in your downline. And so instead of making money on the monthly, you're making money through rev share off of the successes they're having because of the content they're consuming that you're providing to them. And from an abundance standpoint, that's better than making someone pay every month. Let's just make a little piece off every deal they do because they're successful. Let's not force them to pay me on a monthly basis. And I think moving to the future, that is how every coaching organization in America is going to function.
I completely agree. That's what I do with my coaching program, the Massive Agent Society. Most members are paying members, but then there's the option that, hey, you get this for free if you align with us and our team. What's so powerful is you're financially aligning yourself with your people. You win when they win.
Yep.
The more homes they sell, the better it is for you. If you help them build their own team and support them, that's great for you, as well as everyone above you. So, I mean, I can call Jeff Willems down in Tucson, Arizona. He and his wife, Marcy, I believe are still the number one real estate team in Arizona. And I can say, hey, could you send me your listing presentation? He's like, yep, here you go.
Right.
We're financially aligning people.
Right.
And that's so powerful.
And you're not on his team, but you're in his downline.
Correct. Like I don't have a
awesome.
commission split with him. I don't have, any, like he doesn't tell me what to do, like get on the phones. He just wants to see me win.
Yep.
And it's fun. It really is fun. And I believe that model is definitely the model of today and the foreseeable future.
Yep, I totally agree. Everyone's forced to help one another grow, and I love it. And that's one of the reasons we moved to Keller Williams. I looked at the EXP model and love it as well, and I haven't seen Exit. I just know they have something. I just say, if you're at a brokerage right now that doesn't offer a model like this, I'd take a strong look at KW or EXP and see which option is best in your area. Obviously, you can be in our downlines independent of where you are located in the world. So you could be listening to this right now in Dubai and say, hey, I like EXP. Dustin, can I join under you? Yes, you can. And guess what? Dustin and or Jeff Cohn, this is morbid. We could get super sick and pass away or get hit by a car or choose to leave the business altogether. And after a certain amount of time inside of these organizations, we vest, meaning we own our position independent of if we're at the company and still get paid the rev share, which I think is fascinating when it comes to retiring.
This industry is so incredible. You can build wealth in so many different ways, but in this way that is it's so scalable to where if you just support people and then support them and their people and teach them how to do the same thing, you can literally create wealth, tens of thousands of dollars per month that come in every month. And if we do pass away, it's willable. With EXP, it is willable. If I pass, my wife could get licensed and then take over that revenue share business.
Yeah.
That's what I was looking at is how do I take care of my family? How do I build something that lasts and not just be so transactional?
Well, in most traditional real estate agents, we've been taught, invest in something, single family is a good play or multifamily. But how many of us were told by our brokers, go start your own brokerage or start a real estate team, and that's going to have a value later on? No one teaches that except for the two organizations we're talking about right now who say, hey, build your downline. You can create profit share and you can create wealth, and that will be with you and your family for life. So I think it's fascinating. And I know we're both big believers in it. For anyone that doesn't drink the EXP and KW Kool-Aid, and you choose to stay at a traditional brokerage, help us understand it. Feel free to share your comments under this podcast on YouTube or iTunes. Also, if you haven't already done so, go out to iTunes and give us a 5-star review. Give a shout out to Dustin Brohm for doing such an awesome job on the event today. And Dustin, if someone has referrals for you in the Salt Lake City area, wants to follow the podcast, wants to jump into coaching, wants to join you in EXP, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
At Massive Agent on Facebook or Instagram, shoot me a DM, or massiveagentpodcast.com.
Okay, cool. So let's stay on this one more topic I'd like to get into. You shared with the audience members all these strategies surrounding marketing. We've obviously talked about creating these downlines. I think my biggest fear, and this could be a limiting belief, so maybe you can help me with this. Dustin shared with me, hopefully this I can share with the audience. He has over 60 people in his downline at EXP. And that's very impressive for anyone that doesn't know what the average person has. Most people have 1 or 2 people in their downline. 60 is really good. Someone that can get to 60 is going to get to 600, and that's millions of dollars a year in revenue. So that's Dustin's path right now. And so one of the challenges I've had when I put people in my downline, metaphorically speaking, is I lose control. When they're on my team and I'm giving them leads and hosting accountability meetings, hosting team trainings, I have a little bit more control because even though they're independent contractors, I can say, hey, if you want to take my leads, you have to attend A, B, C, D events every single week, or else I'm going to take the leads away. And by the way, hashtag hack in real estate. That's how you get independent contractors to do whatever you want. If they're going to work your leads, you can require them to do whatever you want, as long as it's ethical, legal, et cetera. Yes. So how do we, as leaders, because we both will have people in our downlines, I have people in my coaching organization, they're not on my team, but I do win when they win. How do we control their activities? That's the biggest challenge, is we provide them all this awesome content. Like you just shared all your hyper local strategies and creating videos of YouTube. But how many of us are actually going to do it? How many of the people that listen to you actually do it?
Sure. Great question. I mean, the fact of the matter is, not everyone's going to do it. Some people are, but not everyone wants to go sell 100 homes a year. That's fine. Some people want to have a license and part-time sell a few homes a year. Yep. and maybe refer a few other agents and have some residual income happening there. That's totally fine. Who
are you or I to tell them how many homes they should have to sell a year?
Right. This whole, how many homes did you sell? Like, that's such an incomplete metric.
What's your minimum expectation? I've always hated that.
I understand it as an important metric, but it's incomplete. Like, what do you want to do?
Right.
So
if you said, hey, I sold 100 houses, but your goal was 200, you just fell 50% short.
Yes. Right.
You're right. You always should ask how many did you want. Yeah, exactly.
And then what's your standard of living? Like, are your expenses through the roof and now you can't pay the bills?
Right.
I mean, so it's all relative. But to directly answer your question, I don't want control over my team. I'm okay with that. I completely understand those that do. That makes a lot of sense. But for me, I'm okay with teaching them to fish. So I don't provide leads for my group, but I sure as heck show them how to do it.
Right.
So I give them everything. My Massive Agent Society program, my Facebook ads that work, that they can copy and paste. And then I, hold their hand if they're not performing too well, or if they need to tweak them a little bit, or their ad got denied for some reason. I support and I coach and I train, and that's all I can do. You can bring a horse to water, but you cannot make them drink. Amen. And I'm totally okay with that.
Amen. I think that's great. I totally agree. So this is a great perspective for our listeners, Dustin, because I think there's a lot of people out there that are just like you in that they love certain aspects of the business. They don't love others. And one of those others they don't love is the management part, owning the results of those agents you can't make drink, and then owning the results of them not doing the activities they should be doing. That is hard. That's especially hard for somebody that cares about making sure their agents will be successful. So I've had hundreds of agents come to me say, Jeff, I want to make 6 figures in Omaha. My family would change our lives. And I say, great. You're going to need to make 4 hours of calls a day, 5 days a week. And I'm going to hold you accountable to it. And I'm going to train you. And they're gone within 3 months. And I'm like, why'd they leave? And we'd ask people in their exit interview, why'd you leave? Well, we don't like having to report our numbers, and we don't like people watching what we're doing. And we don't like having to go to trainings, and we don't like working internet leads. And I feel like a glorified telemarketer. And it's all excuses. And I say, well, how much money did you make doing it the way you wanted to do it? Well, it was a slow year, and everything that hit, the economy, and anyone that blames the economy is just not willing to own the fact that they're lazy. Anyone willing to hit phones and make calls and be consistent over long periods of time with whatever their marketing strategy is will be successful, independent of what market you're in. And I'm speaking from an agent perspective. I sold for 6 years, 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009, and 2010. All those years, for anyone that was in the business, those were all depreciating years. My business picked up 25% a year consistently, year over year over year. And it was just me. I wasn't getting hookups from my spouse, who was a doctor, because she wasn't. She was a stay-at-home mom. I wasn't getting any hookups from any place, no special deal. Everyone makes excuses why they're not successful. What did I do? WORK. I worked. I hit it. I went hard. I crushed. And that's the way you have to be if you want to be successful servicing the deals. And if you're not crushing servicing, you need to be crushing marketing, you need to be crushing recruiting. Pick your jam, find your role, and then get the right people in place in all the other roles so that you can be successful. Because even Dustin, if he didn't want to sell a single house and spend all of his time teaching people, he still needs his people to be successful.
Yes. Yep, exactly. And look, I was lazy the first half of my career because I hated the work. So you can't be consistent doing something you hate. You can't do it consistent for long enough to win.
And let me just throw Dustin here. He hated the work he chose to do. Mm-hmm. So choose the work. Choose the work you love. And I say it with workouts. I've always gone up and down with weight in my life. If I'm doing the workouts I love to do, I'm crushing. But if I start doing the thing I don't love, I'm like, don't go do burpees. If you don't like burpees, walk on a freaking treadmill. And it's the same thing in business. A great book that speaks to this, if you guys haven't read this yet, go out and buy a copy or listen to The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team by Patrick Lencioni. And in this book, it'll talk about making sure you're sitting on the right seat on the bus. And you don't have to be great at any one specific thing. As long as you self-actualize and recognize you need work in a certain area, you can better yourself, but better yet, leverage the position, hire someone to do it for you.
Yes. Yeah. So many agents are way too rigid and they're working hard, but maybe what they're doing does not align with what they want to do and what their goals are. So don't be so freaking rigid and, look at other options, look at other models, look at other things, because this industry is incredible. You can do anything and win. Everything works and nothing doesn't.
I love it. I 100%. Oh my gosh, I can't talk. I 100% agree with that sentiment. People always will call out. I get reached out to all the time. They're like, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing ABC lead gen strategy. Does it work?" And my question always to them, and my challenge to the audience is, it works if you're willing to work it. If you're going to work it, it's going to work for you. So, Dustin, you've been an awesome guest today. I know we talked earlier about me jumping on the Massive Agent podcast. So stay tuned for that event. I'd love to be able to get on there with you. And we'd love to bring you back on. If anyone hasn't already checked out Dustin's page on YouTube, go out and see some examples of some of his hyper-local content. Again, Dustin, why don't you share with the listeners where they can find that? And we'll also include it in the show notes.
At Massive Agent on social media. And then massiveagentpodcast.com. And then wherever fine podcasts like yours are sold, Massive Agent Podcast.
Awesome. And then also anyone that hasn't already signed up for our team building podcast email, where we'll outline what the topics are. We'll even create timestamps where you can click on them and get right to the content right away. Just makes it a little bit easier so you don't miss any of these high level episodes like this one. Just go out to go out to eliterealestatesystems.com and click on podcasts. And then to learn more about our high level team leader training, as well as our agent training, we are offering 1 month for free right now in response to COVID-19 and to help people get the best content in America. Go out there and sign up for the 1 month free. No small print. You can sign up, cancel within 30 days. It will cost you $0. To learn more about that, eliterealestatesystems.com, click learn more, or set up your customized demo call today at ersdemocall.com. Thank you, Dustin. It was awesome to interview today. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it, man.
Yep. Later, dude.